In less than a month, homeowners throughout Onondaga County may have to purchase flood insurance for the first time. But a group of community activists are trying to delay these costly changes. I'm Sarah Barth, and I'll have that story coming up on NCC News at 4:45.
Nearly 900 property owners in the city of Syracuse will have to pay as much as $2,500 a year for flood insurance. Good afternoon, I'm Matt Weinstein.
And I'm Marco Sochi. After a years-long federal effort to redraw flood maps, many Syracuse residents are fighting to delay or stop the requirement of this costly insurance. NCC News reporter Sarah Barth has just returned from Syracuse's South Side and is live with our top story in studio.
These new flood maps designate high-risk areas for flooding and are a major expansion to previous maps. Not only does it affect thousands of homeowners throughout the county, but businesses and even nonprofits aren't exempt from these costly insurances.
Government has failed to maintain Onondaga Creek.
And now it's impacting some of Syracuse's poorest homeowners. At least that's the opinion of Richard Puchalski, Executive Director of Syracuse United Neighbors. Puchalski and his group are now trying to delay or prevent the 60-day notice nearly 900 city property owners received, requiring them to purchase flood insurance. The insurance can cost up to $2,500 a year for homeowners, businesses, and even churches. The new FEMA maps have expanded flood zones primarily in Syracuse's south and southwest areas. Before, they just hugged the banks of Onondaga Creek, but now they stretch all the way from Coolidge Ave to South State Street, more than 8 blocks away from the creek. These are some of the poorest areas in the city, with more than 40% of residents living in poverty.
They always pick the poorest neighborhood to levy money from. Insurances are higher, the taxes are higher.
As November approaches, options to fight this are looking bleak, but Puchalski plans to leverage the upcoming congressional election in his efforts.
Certainly it's important to discuss these congressional issues, but nobody's discussing low-income minority issues like the flood zone.
His group tried to meet with Congressman Katko on Friday, but was turned away due to their size. And while Puchalski remains optimistic, most community members are just feeling discouraged.
If there's something that we could do, we would.
In Syracuse, Sarah Barth, NCC News. They say a full moon brings out the crazy, and last night in Syracuse it did bring out some crazy costumes. It's called cosplay, highly respected by all attendees.
I love seeing the artists and all the costume designers get together and showcase all of their different material. I think it's really unique that people have the know-how to come up with this stuff on the fly with things that you just find around your house.
But for participants this year, the sense of community is really what makes the Syracuse Comic-Con unique.
It's just really a great venue for people to just break out and be themselves.
On top of creating a community for local comic enthusiasts, Comic-Con also serves as a publicity spot for many businesses and charities. There were 90 vendors, varying in what they sold and how they sold it, but all were pleased by the high attendance of over 1,600 people. One big hit, the Gathering of the Sabers, a martial arts group inspired by Star Wars. The group hopes that building their following will allow them to give more back to the community.
So we volunteer, we raise money for charities and things like that, and anything to help Syracuse out, we're usually there.
Another hit, the Ghostbusters of CNY raise money for Upstate Golisano's Children's Hospital.
It's done really well. We got a lot of presence, a lot of awareness. A lot of people came up to our booth. We've raised a lot of money for the hospital. So I mean, all in all, it's a really good win.
As the convention came to an end, vendors and comic fans already began looking forward to next year.
I think that next year when they have this event again, we should definitely expect a larger turnout.
Like Bird Library will be busy tomorrow as people cast their votes. But the historically high dislike of both presidential nominees is a major issue for many when it comes to that final decision. I'm Sarah Barth, and I'll have that story coming up on NCC News at 4.
Even though voting starts tomorrow, millions of Americans are still undecided about their presidential pick. Could the third-party candidates benefit from this indecision? NCC News reporter Sarah Barth is live in the studio with the story.
Throughout the election, both Trump and Clinton have had historically high unfavorability ratings. In the path to 270 tomorrow, third-party candidates hope to make a disruption, counting on this dislike to draw voters to their campaigns. The final hours of the 2016 election are here, and presidential candidates Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton are fighting for every last vote.
I'm really excited about having a chance to make all these stops today.
Hillary Clinton should not even be allowed to run for the presidency of the United States.
But they're not the only ones. Libertarian Gary Johnson, Green Party's Jill Stein, and Never Trump conservative Evan McMullin, all hoping voters who see the election as the lesser of two evils, will turn to them as someone to vote for. That thought has certainly resonated with Liverpool voter Bree Adams.
I've always voted a Democratic vote because I've never been so opposed to anyone that was in that position to run.
In the minds of many, voting third party in that booth tomorrow just equals a wasted vote, something that's a result of the electoral system in place.
The hard truth, if you're a third party member, that especially at the federal level, it's just never going to happen.
Adams acknowledges this, but says voting third party is the first step in changing the system as a whole.
It doesn't allow for a third party. It doesn't allow for it. It just allows for them to at least have a voice, which is why I'm doing it.
Yet, as voting day approaches, recent New York polls show a tightening of support between the two parties. Clinton up 17 points in the most recent poll, third-party support dropping below 10%. Now, even if Evan McMullin took Utah or Libertarian Gary Johnson wins his home state of New Mexico, all Clinton needs to win is Florida to get past that 270. But for Trump, it is crucial that he gets Utah's vote. He could even get Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Ohio, and Arizona, and he'd still be short of that traditionally conservative Utah 6 electoral votes. Reporting live in the studio, Sarah Barth, NCC News.
Potholes, construction, and water main breaks are only some of the issues drivers face on the roads.
The Syracuse Mayor's office is just as tired of these problems as drivers and is turning to the community for help. NCC News reporter Sarah Barth is live here in the studio with the story.
1,500 potholes, that's how much the city has fixed every month since April. Now they're taking their efforts a step further, using data and the community to learn more. Data, hacking, they typically get a bad rep. But the city of Syracuse sees these three words as the key to solving the city's poor road conditions. Mayor Stephanie Miner has made fixing the roads a top priority of her second term. Miner's innovation team is driving it into the next gear, turning to tech developers for a fresh set of eyes.
Hey, little man.
15-month-old Benjamin Edelstein brought Dad to the first year of the Civic Data Hackathon, allowing hackers and the rest of the public to take a crack at the road problems.
There's a lot of data. We may miss things. We may not think of a problem in a certain way. So people may think of things that we just may not have thought of.
The 2-week-long hackathon ended at Hack Upstate, where hackers worked 24 hours straight to present some of their solutions. Some developers focused on community outreach, allowing drivers to report potholes as they hit them. This lets the city respond to the issues much quicker. 3 SUNY Oswego undergrads were some of the hackers who took on the challenge, but quickly realized the difficulty of the data.
There was a lot of data. Like we had data from 5,000-6,000 streets.
They didn't do anything. I had to manipulate all this and I didn't get it.
Projects were due last night at midnight. The grand prize, $2,500 cash.
This is a decent cash prize.
Winners will be announced next Monday, many of them getting to meet Syracuse Mayor Stephanie Miner to present their ideas, which then might be worked into the city's operations. Reporting live from the studio, I'm Sarah Barth, NCC News.